need to finish strongly here in the Golden Spatula Cup number 3 because there's only a few spots left for players to go through on Golden Spatula Cup points.
Okay, and me and Mr. Counterfeit are now gonna be casting this game with a truce between it. Because, you know, it's not good to keep the love-hate relationship going on for so long. Now, seriously though, it's my first time to be casting with Mr. Counterfeit for this cup. So I'm very, very honored again to be casting with this legendary voice on the game. Now, listen up. Last game, I was so wrong about so many things. Specifically when it came down to the final rounds. Yesterday, everyone said, oh my god, you had your Oracle era. Oh my god, you were like acting all with the prophecies and everything happening. But TFT taught me one thing, specifically in the GSC 3. You can never guess what's gonna happen 100%. People will always adapt into something different. They will always pivot into something different. And that's the beauty of TFT. Everything works. It's all adaptation.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, all our last lobby kind of disappointed us a little bit in that respect with some of the innovation not quite working out. I mean, there is a reason why some of our players will go down these well-trodden paths because they've proven themselves to work again and again. It takes a completely different kind of approach, a kind of different mentality to go for an unproven composition because the stakes are so high here.
Yeah, it all depends right now on who gets the Astra or the Lagoon opening. And apparently Fabulotus coming down from the last game as first place also gets another chance to get that perfect Astral opening with the early vows. Now, all you're looking for is a secondary bruiser, and you already have it in the store. It's going to be your lovely Malphite, and imagine right now he gets a Silas. I swear to God, Fabulotus is playing premium TFT also. These openers are not real. They cannot be real.
Well, someone has been good this year. We'll see what they end up going for. So we've got the generic strength with Ascension. Clutter Mine we know is very good as well for freeing up your economy and letting you just scoop up, and it will be that Clutter Mine. I think this makes a hell of a lot of sense with the Astrals as well, because you're getting fed a new unit every single round. Or when you're not getting fed gold, of course.
And even a Twitch to make it worse than you would have guessed. He's gonna be buying in right now. And he gets another Vladimir right here. This is your lucky day. Now, will he commit and throw in that Twitch for maybe the Swift Shots? Yes, he does. And I'm back to the prophecy. Glad in mind, you're going to be getting a lot of XP. So, remember last game when me and Wita were speaking so many times about what kind of winning Astral board would you be looking for? It's exactly this one. You have a Varus, you have an early Silas, it's one of these two. You're either sticking to mages or Swift Shots. And he's definitely sticking to that Varus all-in.
The only problem here, the flying element for Fabulosus, is that items don't lend themselves terribly well to the situation. As you see, the Last Whisper is the only thing they can put up to the field against Shiso, who's also running Astral in the early going. But it's a little bit of a crossover because Twitch is also shredding armor, and the Last Whisper generally as an item isn't going to fit terribly well into some of these later game comps, like, of course, a pile of dragons.
Again, it doesn't matter. You did have a gold star, you didn't get those 3 components that we'd love to have. But with Clutter Mind and the Astral Opener, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're winning, and as you said, yes, there's a very nice hitting combo. I do apologize for the love-hate relationship me and you have. You appear to have some nice sense into the game. The Twitch combo with the Varus, it gives him the Swift Shot, it gives him the attack speed, and with the Last Whisper, with both of them shredding armors, which Mishmesha seems to be, I don't know if you hear that or not, but it's not that bad of an item to slam early.
So we are receiving word from our wonderful observer, Danny, that we've got 4 different players running Astral in the early going. I mean, as we see here, Banana Bill has also managed to get themselves a Infinity Edge, or Infinity Force, if my memory serves correctly, to get themselves a very strong start here. So we've got that drip feed of gold coming in across everywhere. Unlike Lagoon, you're not so worried about losing rounds. It's consistent gold, and it should mean that the economies are going to be much more flush than they could be otherwise.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter though. I mean, again, we district heavily on how Astrals and Lagoons are often your openers, but the one that Fabulotus have is one of the best. So I bet that he might be one of the only people sticking to that Astral gameplay right now with Preparation 2 in Phase 1 of the rounds. It's also something really good, but you don't expect to win the early game with Silo Moppin just sitting back there, accepting his fate. You know that meme with the dog sitting on everything around him is just lit on fire.
Oh,
and
on
he's just
fire.
Like, oh, yeah, this is fine. This is the
I don't know
market
if we're
right now.
quite there on fire yet, but maybe we'll get
Yeah.
there. A small note about the Astral starts. I'm completely with you here that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of people leaving Astral fairly quickly. With the recent changes, meaning you're much less likely to be fed the actual Astral units to get you up to the 2-star versions consistently, but you are getting a decent amount of money in. So even if you only keep them in for a few rounds, that's money that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And if you're lost streaking, you're really not losing anything apart from the HP you would have lost anyway.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So many people just commit to Astrals only to throw him down later, so if he wants to commit in the win streak, he'll be doing this fine. But you're not speaking about Astrals. We right here are watching Brank with that lovely Demon's opening with the second wind and a 1-star Volley Bear with a Hodge and a bow. Now, you could not ask for better components if you want to play for a Lee Sin maybe, but again, Demons has recently, I've not been seeing that much luck. I don't think we've seen a single Lee Sin 3-star so far, no? Even yesterday, the only Demons board that we watched was a 3-star Volley. Did I commentate on it? Was I there? Day 1 maybe, no?
So I remember because I got all kind of confused and I actually forgot that Lee Sin was a Dragon Monster himself.
So
because it ended up, we've seen some of the Dragon Monsters Lee Sins coming through and doing pretty reasonably well. Of course, some recent change meaning that their kick now much more reliably works on the backliners. You kick the front line into the back line, it's consistently doing a ton of damage. So I'm really excited to see that here. When we saw it before, people just didn't have an answer to the Lee Sin as long as you can get enough of them together quick enough.
Yeah, and this is the issue. In order for you to get that Lee Sin early, again, he's not just contested with Demoncers, he's also contested with people that want to play Aoshin for some of that Tempest buff and a pretty nice frontline unit. And there goes the Silas. It's going to be fitting perfectly into this comp. Zuso might think about buying him already, committing a little bit, but that's the thing. You're not going to be committing to Astrals. You have personal training with that lovely Olaf, so he's going to be chunking a whole lot of amount of HP to himself each and every round. He's also stacking a lot of that AD, and you have a Bloodthirster at the start. So scale scones right here for Zuso seems like a good idea, specifically for the fact that he also has a recurve bow. Now, you could slam a Herald and a Hurricane, or you could wait and commit to the Lost Streak. And apparently that's his plan. Nothing committed at all.
But the problem here with using any of these items for Juso is, as we noted, we've got so many people who are just running the Astrals. In this case, Lumapin actually might be looking to play Astral longer term, but these Astral boards right now are not terrifically strong, so keeping a lost streak going like Juso has done is actually kind of impressive, because you're riding a really thin line when you go up against other similarly weak boards.
Yeah, this is the thing. Astrals versus Lagoons, and Lagoons versus Lagoons, and Astrals versus Astrals. Except for the fact, again, with preparation in the early game, you wouldn't be wanting to win with these preparations. But does the stream hear that? Did you guys hear Mishmisha again?
Yes.
Okay,
It's a tricast. It's a tricast. It's fine.
What's up with you? Do you want them to play Dark Flights, Rengars every game? Are you keeping up the cat bias? Come on.
Well, what we do hear from Banana Bill is that they've been taking advice from their cat as well, and it's gotten them Anila and Ornella, and a very strong start here with everyone's favourite 1-star, of course, Zippy, but should be buying quite a lot of time for Neela to get a job done. This is the opposite end of what we were seeing before. So we've seen players who are all lost streaking trying to get their Astral economy online. Banana Build sees this opportunity to say, if everyone wants a lost streak, I'm more than happy to take their HP and also take the money.
Yeah, exactly. Committing fully right now to the 4-win streak he has. And as I thought, again, Banana, him, and I think, if I wasn't wrong, it was Fabulotus. They have that premium openers. Except that Fabulotus didn't really... You know, in every game we've seen Banana, he's always had the most beautiful openers. Now, I swear to you, I'm not the reason he lost now. I'm not caster cursing him at all. Trust me.
Well, you're also not the reason that Majuaro didn't lose. They're the only player to make it through completely undefeated. And it's going to be Dragon Monster set up with... already a committal into Jade, which of course we know Jade Siphon, one of the most reliable comps around.
Yeah, it is not totally my fault that this happened. And Mujiwara is still kicking it with 5 wins in a row. He has not lost a single PvP round with that Jade Heart. And we spoke about Jade's seeing a lot of buffs recently. I remember in the last day, yesterday, in the first games, we were not seeing Jades at all. Starting from second game to third game, people have been playing more and more Jade Hearts, and they've been putting a lot more effort to how strong Jades right now are. So with that opener, even if you're not committing to a Shioyu, despite having the perfect board for it right now so far, with all of these 2-star units, with that Elina, I think that Jade opener right now is one of the strongest on board.
Let's take a quick look at our economy. We've got Mujiwara and Brank up on the top. who are streaking, Fabulosus and Juso, who are both down at the bottom, lost streaking as well. So, again, we talked about there's a lot of gold in these here hills. The economy is being pumped up by all this Astral we saw in the early game. I think we are on course to see some really massive late game boards with this much money floating around the game.
Yeah, and the only one that I might be worried about right now might be Chuso. He's sitting down on 60 HP after the Krugs is not a good start at all. You don't love seeing someone suffer this much, so maybe after the augment it might be his pivot or his downfall. Again, with two heroes playing against each other, from Brank and Mujiwara we would see who's gonna be winning, but it's not gonna be the day. Again, Chuso is unlucky enough to face the champion of the lobby so far with the Jades, might not even kill a single unit, so he's down 13 HP with that bonk, and that has sending him to 47 HP just before the first augmenting. Can we get Chuso's board? I want to get what options he has.
All right, we'll see what Mujiwara's got for the time being. They are, of course, our undefeated player. They're on the Jades. Of course, they won't like tantrums. Axiomark, not so good. Gadget Expert, a solid generic one, but I don't know if we might be seeing a reroll here, because none of these are, you know, keep your win streak going kind of augments, at least to me.
Yeah, and again, with that Gadget Expert, he might be willing to go for something, but oh, this is the second reroll. We rarely ever see someone very committing, but with the Celestial Blessing, it might be very perfect. And the Sunfire is also very good, and the items, he got 3 things that he has right now, but it's going to be a Banshee, sells that, maybe goes for a Sunfire on the set, or a Gargoyle. But I think a Sunfire would make much more sense. Perhaps doesn't really commit it right now, looking for a secondary Titan's Resolve. And he still has very good items. Oh wait, I forgot the Morello. I didn't see the Morello. He doesn't need Sunfire, and he also doesn't need the Sunfire board. But still goes for the cape. Double anti-healing is better than one.
Up against Coco here, who is doing pretty well, though not on a streak. An interesting item setup for the Volibear. I think doing a good job of item carrying. Those lightning strikes you can see do an absolute ton of damage. And a bit like the Rengar, there's no way to avoid them. So that's going to be a big hit for Mujiwara, being driven off the top of the table. No one remains unbeaten. Rank is on the win streak. Juso at the bottom, or Tuso at the bottom, is, as you say, in big trouble. Personal training, the Bruiser augment I got here is actually, I believe, one of the highest performing augments in the game. But you get a bonus, you get bonus health, but you get more bonus health if you're winning rounds. And I think that's the big problem that Juso's having here, is they're not winning rounds, and so they're not getting as much benefit from this augment as they should be.
Yeah, and it goes very, very hard right now for him. If he keeps on with that losing streak, keep in mind the skill scones roll mostly at level 7. In case you want to commit to that board, and he still doesn't have a single Diana. He doesn't get that one more Olaf to get it. No, wait, he actually needs 2 more Olaf, so he's still a little bit far behind and committed to the skill scones. Personal training again with all of the deaths on that Olaf unit. I don't know how many stacks he have, but he'll be doing fine in late game soon as he goes to level 7 and maybe ups his skill score in the game a bit, with 4 skill scores down on board with the Lilia and the Braum edition. I mean the Lilia and the Diana edition, but now it is go big or go home. He has to look for that Hurricane. Oh wait, he already has it. Ooh, Rapid Fire? Giant Slayer maybe?
I mean, they've got to do something. There's definitely going to be, at this point, the question for Juso, maybe they should have gone for a little bit more aggressive earlier. So they actually go for the Giant Spell. Fascinating. We'll see what they end up making of that. Because, you see, they're down on 25 HP. This is our top table, so these are the kind of places where we can potentially see a Golden Spatula Cup 3 winner emerging. And Juso right now has got almost nothing but belts.
Yeah, and production already confirmed to us, special thanks to our observers, that he's sitting with 9 charges on that Olaf. So the full commitment on the rerolls right now have to be, and I think this is one of the, possibly the worst situations we've ever seen. Oh, that's an early Terra. Will 100% be kept in here, might pivot with it and look for some tankiness on that Olaf. But I'm a little bit confused. There are so many options you could go for here. A Yone, maybe to give some of that Warrior if you can find a Pantheon. Guess the level 2 Olaf, but what is going to be the final unit? It's going to be the Terra thrown in. But there's no time to get Olaf on the Monolith. No.
We have seen a few people trying this across the weekend. I was saying, just, I need some extra tankiness in my comp. Terra provides that in spades. See, that will hold the front line pretty well and allow Olaf time to get going. I mean, this is the point where we need to see the turnaround start happening. Olaf does stay alive on the tail end. there isn't a ton of burst, so I think Terra will just about survive, get that extra cast off, which is a ton of damage, and Olaf well equipped with Scale Scorn active to finally get that win.
Yeah, finally Chuzo right here able to get his first win with that Scale Scorn, and apparently the pivot to Terra was very, very effective. Keep in mind that this round was only very close because he wasn't able to put Olaf on one of his monoliths. You don't want to throw Olaf on the back line now, you're between two fires. It's either you put him on the monolith and make him receive less damage, but also effectively deal less, because he's gonna be missing on that Knife's Edge, or play with more and more damage on the Knife's Edge and just completely ignore the two spots on the back. I would throw a Lilia back there to maybe be tanky a little bit, because Cavalier's charged anyways, same with her and Sejuani, but he wants to protect that Olaf at all costs.
I think the big problem he's got here is the personal training means that he's very well rewarded for keeping the bruisers together.
Together, yes.
Because they're not going to get that bonus health unless they're standing next to each other. Lil Pin, though, they've stuck with the Astral, the preparation we saw from before, where others may have only taken a quick dip in the Astral pool. Lil Pin is going in head and shoulders. That Lux is absolutely cracked. And unfortunately, it's not quite doing enough damage, and it's going to be another win for Tuso. Lumapin is getting close to joining them at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, and until this point, we have no idea if that's going to might be worth it for the late game or not. And Lumapin still has not found what his pivot will be. He's still sitting on level 5 right now, so if we switch the camera to Lumapin, I think this is the point where he starts pivoting, and this is the point where we want to get the camera on him, because apparently he's not going to be performing so well. At least Chuzo was able to find his personal training, Knife's Edge combo, and for this specific round, I want to see what kind of augments Lumapin does, because if he doesn't find his pivot, just like Chuzo was lucky enough to do, he might be the first one we say goodbye to in this slot.
For any of you folks who are coming in who are maybe newer to TFT, just an illustration here of the Knife's Edge. So there's a few different augments that do this, but in this case, Tuso is basically, doesn't have to, but is very heavily motivated to keep their units all on the front line. You know, as Morgan mentioned, we've got these monoliths on the back which do provide damage reduction, but you would leave the Knife's Edge area, and you'd also leave the area where all of these bruisers are giving HP across your team. So I do wonder if maybe Idus was more on the menu here for Tuso, but they just haven't found it, so they're going with what they can.
Yeah, and again, with the Titan's Restore finally slammed on Olaf, he's going to be getting a little bit tankiness. He doesn't have the luxury to wait on slamming maybe and a Giant Slayer, anything that keeps him alive, but it goes instantly on Fabulotus, and now we're watching him. Yes, I would still love to see what options does Lumapin have, but in this specific round, we rarely ever see an Evoker Nomsi being played with such items. He has the Gold Mancer Staff. I doubt he's going to be committing to her. Again, this might just be a pivot point where he goes and switches to the Deja to stick to the Mirage augment that he chose already.
Oh, no, I'm certain you're right there, but I mean,
yeah,
she's doing a pretty decent job. It's not, you know, it's never going to be the same as having exactly what we're looking for, but I think that's what we're seeing from our players. Again, we are at table 1, a single position here. You know, you go 8th in a given game, and there's a decent chance that could be the 8th that keeps you from making it through to the EMEA finals. We are going to be going into prismatic territory for our last augment. Of course, this is the place where players are usually saving their rerolls.
Yeah, and I don't know what options Lumapin has. I'm still very, very excited, so if we can get the camera on him. And Think Fast is chosen right now, so it has to be really, really quick, as the augment says Think Fast, and we rarely ever see it being picked. If I am mistaken, this might be the first time I've seen Think Fast picked up in the Golden Spatula Cup 3 so far. I missed day 1, but I don't think there was a Think Fast as well. Was there?
I can't draw one to mind at least, but yes, it's a huge skill test for the game. I was really surprised when I saw this announced in the first place. I think for Coco, they are looking for their direction. They could, you know, this requires players to have an incredible command of the set. We've got the upgrade. We've got ourselves a 2-star Deja and a 2-star Idus. It looks like Mirage is the route to go, but we haven't quite got them actually in on the board as of yet.
Yeah, that was 4 Seraphines in a single shop, if I ain't mistaken, or 3 Seraphines in a single shop, but it just doesn't fit into this comp at all. He got the investment into the 2-star Deja, and until now, the Volibear, he might have been very, very useful in the early game, but that's a lot of HP low strat here for Coco, and I think the Think Fast did not give him that much value because he didn't get what he was looking for. Yes, the investments were made, he got the 2-star Deja, but for this specific round, the pivot was not done fast enough.
I mean, it's one thing to be able to say, I need these specific units and think fast and just, hammer through and say, where are they? Where are they? It's another thing entirely when you're doing an incredibly high APM task to realize I'm not going to find the units I'm looking for. I have to make a decision while re-rolling really fast that I'm changing direction and this is what I've got to go with.
Yeah, and Radiant Relics being picked by Mujiwara, I'm still excited on what Radiant has he picked. And also, one thing that I want to bet your eye into, Chuzo has so many wins, and guess what? He got the Scale Scorn crown. So now he has 3 of the most perfect augments you could get for a Scale Scorn game. Now, Knife's Edge with the placement, again, it helps you if you put all your units in the 2 front lines, they gain AD. So that helps them deal a lot more damage at the Scale Scorn. And also paired up with the personal training, if you're keeping them near bruisers, they get 40 HP, and at the end of the round, if they survive, they get an additional 20. For bruisers, this is a huge amount, and for all of specific, with the lifesteal that you'll be chunking on him, it gives him a lot of value.
But checking with Mujiwara, myself and mates were talking about, accessibility of mystics in the set. This is one of the comps that absolutely can do it. The items we saw coming in the very early Morellonomicon being picked up, being to be used with the Seraphine, not usually an item we see prioritized when it comes to these sort of Jade Siphon setups here, but it does allow for a heavy Mystic presence, which I think is a wonderful answer to all of these late game Dragon boards.
Yeah, and now we're still at one more carousel with just items, and Lumarpin is still sticking on that opener with the Astrals, still the Nidalee, Vladimir, and Scott. Would love to take a look on his board after he gets these items. Maybe he might be looking to put a mage cap someone, the spatula that he already has, but apparently no, he goes for another spats, might be looking for crown. If I'm... Should be the tactician crown. It should be. He wants that one additional new recruit free prismatic augment that he gets from the double spatula. And again, Blue Marpin's board would be very interesting to see what he has in mind. And oh, finally, 4 Scale Scorns appreciated by Master Chuzo right here. And Lumarpin, yes, does commit to the crown, and he still commits to the Ostro. Very risky, as featherweights, in my humble opinion, are not giving any value to the Varus, but the Varus is not the problem at all because he does get the 3-star Lux just in time. Beautiful.
This Lux should be absolutely world-endingly strong, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, the feet are quick and nimble. That's a ton of damage. As long as she doesn't get killed immediately, the front line does not stand up for very long. But every time that Lux casts, somebody dies. I think it's not going to quite be good enough here, though. This Nyla, which has been around since 2.6, I believe, fully itemized and just an absolute terror to deal with.
And this is my issue with Assassin in this set. This is my issue. You cannot position against them. Oh, you clumped. Congrats. Guess what? Nyla's gonna be sliding all across the board to kill that Lux, even through the fact that you started the round with a perfect clump. Keep the Lux safe. Nidalee died, and so did the Lux because she had no one to protect her at all. Until this point, he still doesn't have 5 mages, so the damage would have been majorly increased because that's about 20% more AP damage you're losing both in the crit and to all your mages, specifically and most importantly, of course, Lux. So getting a Zoe here or getting maybe a Lilia would have been perfect. Bump up the 5 mage comp. The Lux would have dealt so much damage, but can not just position against people like Zippy or Nyla or Rengar. They go wherever they please, counterpick.
Let's check in with Fabulosus, who's doing as they please with a Rage Ring Xayah competition. I know we were kind of down on Xayah generally, though it has been creeping through and doing pretty well. I mean, for Fabulosus, it's doing very well right now. Of course, Xayah's target access is extremely good, though in this particular case, Lux wasn't pressured as she was in the previous round, and that meant the end was inevitable.
Finally, he does get another win here, Lumop. And look at the damage on that. Lovely Lux. But most importantly, you know what? I wish Panda was here. He always spoke about that Nidalee reroll, and we rarely ever see a 3-star Nidalee. So, yeah, we get what people love here, really. You get the Astrals and the Aurelian Souls for Mix. I hope she doesn't kill me at the break. And, of course, with the Nidalee reroll on Panda. So, if you're still in the chat, you got the Nidalee reroll. Look at the items you got right here. Perfect to maybe put on some damage with that Varus. Very close to reach level 3. Again, 3 mages, the Lux still needs a small bump to give her more.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's always a little tricky to keep track of exactly where the astral rewards are at the moment. But for Glutius Maximus, they're going to need to turn around their current loss streak. You see, they're spending the money they have because they realize time is not on their side. The Cavaliers are here, though we don't, as of yet, have ourselves a Yasuo. And I don't know if that's a visual bug that we're seeing the two items set. No, of course, it's the Woodland Charm. Oh my gosh, that is quite a front line. And not an augment we've seen a whole lot of in the tournament.
Yeah, you don't really get to see Woodland Charm chosen on. Even though yesterday we had it chosen like twice, if I am not mistaken. But keep in mind that he still has that 2-star Idis with one hell of a front line, as you said, except that Lux doesn't really care that bad about these front line. She is able to bypass 2 targets with her abilities. At least this time he managed to put the Deja in the correct positioning though in the middle, but he's not getting any value at all with that Gold Mancer Staff because he only has 1 gold, so that Deja is not really expected to deal that much damage. And if I'm not mistaken, the Mirage this game was Dawnbringer, right?
Yes.
So she doesn't have anything to help her with the combat right here. And there you go, absolutely one shot! With the Lux, and that's what I was looking for. I told you the Deja has no value, and Gluteus will be the first person to go out from this lobby.
I do know that some people would, we were talking about before, can you get away with having just pure damage items on your Deja? I think sometimes you can, but Lux is a special case, as we do see Brank. They're doing kind of what we've seen from before, which is pile in as many dragons as possible, make your pivot, and try and make this work. We have got level up in the mix, so level 10 is on the menu long term, but right now, they've got to try and stay alive with a relatively small amount of dragons. Well, sorry, small amount of levels of dragons. They're not up to 2 stars, they're not as powerful as they're going to be, and maybe Brank won't get the chance.
Yeah, and this is my only issue right now. That Brank, if he loses this, he might be the second person that we say goodbye to. Again, not getting any value from the Goldmancer Staff on the Soraka because he doesn't have any gold to back it up. And against the Whispers, you push. And that Pantheon knows exactly what he wants against the Ocean. A lot of damage coming in for the Joe Gauntlet, but again, the Nyla says no, and Brank will also be going outside. Because that Goldmancers gave absolute no value when you have no gold to back it up. And Chuzo gets to survive one more time with more dogs smiling upon him with 1 HP, another hidden last stand augment given to him right here, the second chance.
I mean, this is what Niberia called for this. He used his powers to say, today, on this day of all days, on the last day of the Golden Spatula Cup number 3, on the path to the EMEA finals, let's see something a little bit different. And this is another board, which we're getting to see something completely wild. I love that Tizzo's being able to actually make this work as they do a last second reposition, moving the Olaf into the corner.
Okay, so what do you have here? Cavalier Pantheon and Skills Corn Terra. I forgot what their main stats were because of all of these emblems again being thrown here on the board, but that CC coming from the Hecarim is absolutely lovely. However, the Olaf didn't get the chance to put all the damage because he died way too quickly, and now there's no damage coming out, and Chuzo will be saying goodbye right here from this lobby because sadly you cannot position against a Nyla, and that is a golden wall. She slides upon everybody, and she's very, very tricky when it comes to placing units away from her sides.
Oh boy. I don't know if we can take a quick look at Banana Bill's board because that's been kind of creeping into our base. Oh, wait, so of course, we've got our carousel and it's full of dragons. This is pretty great news, of course, for Lumarpin, who's down near the bottom, wanting to try and catch up. He's currently on level 7. Along with Banana Bill. Of course, we've got Coco up to level 9 already, so with this carousel coming in, that's a lot more extra gold getting thrown in, the extra items as well. Yeah, we're going to get into a very explosive endgame situation.
Yeah, and just to keep you guys on board with us, the skill scores have been changed at last patch. You can now pair them up very normally, without any issue with Dragon. Even though the name says that they're skill scorn, they should be defying their own kin, but guess what? It doesn't really matter. You can still pair up skill scorns with dragons, and that's why we're seeing a Terra with Chuzo, but still, it wasn't really effective. It's really hard to get skill scorns working, as we just said before, and they're not really a go-to comp unless you see them as perfect fit to whatever you're having. Now, TJ Stadius positioning back and forth with them, and Lumarpin, if you lose this round, you're gonna be in the bottom 4, so this one really does matter, Count.
All right, we'll see how they do up against Mushwara, who's gone for a different setup. So instead of Jade Siphon, it's Jade Shyvana dropping down the ultimate firepower. This is going to be really tough to deal with, and it means as well the AP itemization does have value. Pin, their goose is getting cooked, but no! They blow up the last bit of damage, and Mushwara takes the L against a level 7 Lumarpin.
Okay, so Blue Battery as a prismatic. You have also a Spear of Shojin. You have also IE and Jewel Gauntlet combo to keep this Lux infinitely firing whenever she has the chance to, besides the preparation that you have in her. A 5 mage in this composition would be absolutely ham, but that's the idea. Will you go for Astrals or for 5 mages? Now, it doesn't matter, because the amount of ability power that you get from the Astrals, it does make for the loss of total AP given from the mages. So that Lux can chunk so much damage. Oh, I forgot. He has that sneaky featherweight to make her attack even faster at the start. Get these Spear of Shojin sticks in quickly.
All right, let's see if Coco can survive the round. They've got, of course, the Thinking Fast all set and done with. They're up against Bill's board, which we haven't had a chance to talk about in detail. It's a double-up board with both Nyla and Graves put together. The legacy of our friend Seraphine showing these two units are absolutely absurd. So why not bring it to each of them to the center of the board? Raw power! The Ocean drops down the lightning, and it's so close, but Coco retires in 5th.
Yeah, and that is the beauty of the Trinity Force being thrown down on an island. Gives her so much endurance to all of this magic resistance damage coming from the dragons. It's very, very hard to deal with. Now, Ocean was gonna destroy that entire board. No, Nyla to star with that shield coming from BT and also all the stats coming down from the Trinity Force. She's able to survive for so much, and a guild Shyvana is not something that we're really used to seeing. But alongside with the Zaya, again, we were so happy, and our analyst desk yesterday was so happy to see her return. But the Rage Blade here will be of 0 value. You already got one on the Zaya. Might swap it for a double Rage Blade with the perhaps Giant Slayer, but that last Whisper on the Zaya is perfect. You're gonna be giving it to the Jade. Yep, Rocket for maybe faster, but it's not the best item you'd be looking for.
All right, let's take a little further look at Banana Bill's board, since I believe this is going to be at least the first time we've seen it, or at least I've seen it on stream. We've got we've got Double Trouble, we've got Double Zeeks, we've got the personal training in here as well, which I don't even think is being used right now. But Banana Bill, they've just taken their first loss, I believe, for a while.
I just noticed that this board has 2 Nylas, by the way. One just off,
that's a Double Trouble.
Yeah, the Double Trouble, beauty of the Nyla. And I guess I've been offline for the past few minutes, but it doesn't matter, because the Shyvana comes down, slamming on that Aurelion Soul, says no additional cast for you, but decides to turn a complete blind eye to him. Nope. The Fire Breath is going to be going on the right side right now, and that Varus is slamming across, but the Lux does so much damage, 1,000.5k damage coming at the crit, and with the Blue Battery, she just casts endlessly. She knows no limits, this Lux, with the Prismatic Blue Battery. Whoa!
I mean, this is really nasty. Lumarpin, I believe, has managed to hit up well, there we go. Full capacity Astrals. They are getting the absolute best rewards they can be getting. We're talking about around about 10 golds worth of value per round. We're getting items dropped in as well. They are going to be hitting the absolute top tier of what Astral is capable of. Banana Bill has taken another L, but they're going to be developing their second Nyla. They've got the Thieves' Gloves coming in. So we've got a pretty strong board. I don't know if it's a top 1 board, though.
Yeah, the Nylas are so annoying to deal with again, but you're giving away one of them that doesn't receive the 60% attack speed from the Double Herald because you need to be targeting that Zaya, but none of them have it. And again, with the Pantheon, you're expecting for him to tank so much, but again, look at the augments. None of them are helping right now for him to reach that Zaya. You have a lot of items, you have the Thieves' Gloves, but that's where it ends, or maybe not. The Nyla deals so much damage, he's able to slide through, but the Infinity Healing comes from the Soraka, and the Nyla slides back and forth, but the Zaya finishes the job, and he's going outside. And Lumarpin, will he get another win to stay in the lobby? No, he doesn't, but that bonk will keep him alive. Just 2 HP to maybe contest.
Let's take a quick look at the reward they're going to get here, though, because it should be substantial. Let's see. There we go. 10 gold immediately in the bank. Note as well, they're at level 7 while this is all going on. So they spent that gold, sold the ASOL. Let's see, what have we got to put in? Evoker, Shapeshifter. I mean, Yasuo is something generic power. Not, well, of course, we've got the Blue Battery in as well, so he's going to be casting like crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, you stole it from me. The value of the Yasuo here with the Blue Battery is absolutely insane. He's just adding him as an additional CC machine. Or maybe, never mind. Zyra for Evoker and God, that lecture about to give. of how good Yasuo would be with the blue battery because he says just no. Locks in for the Zyra. She also gives a very nice CC, specifically against the Zarya, and look at the damage that she was able to output, however, never again. And the Lux just slicing through the back line with another after another cast. The Aurelion Soul is barely alive and Zarya will fall down. And apparently Lou Marpin is having some very good time with these Astros, switching right after the Fabulotus board, right against Mojuara right here. The Bard does get the final cast, and Ashiryu is just unkillable. And the Shibana decides to go for the back line with the Bard. He says, just shut up, you're dead. And Fabulotus will be receiving another bonk from Mojuara right.
Lumapin is holding on pretty well from Spain and receiving all the money in the world. Of course, if you'd like to support our Grow My Tree initiative, you can do so. TFT Forest command in the chat. Make yourself a tree friend as we come to the end of round number 4. Mujiwara still up on the top of the roost. Morgan, it looks like your good personal friend is performing exceptionally here at table 1.
Yeah, absolutely proud of Mujiwara again for making it. Rankon, my boy. Sucks not to see Ilko. Very sorry, country. But again, we made a truce at the start of this cast, so I'll keep you safe from all of the banter.
It's easy to make the truce when your country's doing well.
Yeah, that's how business goes. Anyways, we got a Shroud with that Nora right now. You gotta be scouting to know where you gotta throw it, and the 6 Rage Wings have already been activated right here for so long. But there goes the Swift Shot emblem. That's Zarya will be receiving some whooping amount of attack speed right now, and it's the final battle. Very, very smart on the Zephyr on the front line, because you know that with this build, the Zarya is not your issue. She's gonna get absolutely bombed with the Aurelion Soul, but this is why for another day because of the Soraka being alive and the Archangel with the Zyra, but still what? The Zyra is still alive because of the Rage Ring and the Omnivamp, but she's still on full HP, but she doesn't live to tell the story for another day as the Lux takes his life, and he goes out for -1 HP, barely enough for Lumapin to get another chance.
It's the nature of the beast. That Lux is able to punish backline comps like crazy. We haven't been seeing that necessarily, a ton of the time. Especially if we're having Jade Siphon, we're just going to get up into her face and delete her. But in this circumstance, in this lobby, this is a Lumapin who, is holding onto the very edge, is bathing in money. See, the Aurelion Soul is up to 3 items now. This is a surely unbeatable board.
And now, place your bets on who's going to be winning the final round as Mujiwara doesn't manage to get the Shroud correctly this time, and the Lux does dodge it, but it doesn't matter. The Varus is going to be off the limits, and you have a blue buff and a blue battery both paired up with that Aurelion Soul, even though the Valley might not be as measured because he's locked down with that bod, but still the Lux deletes everyone, and there's no stopping to this decent Astral build. Mujiwara doesn't manage to kill any units, and he will be going down in second place as Lou Marpin, Vamos, takes the first game for him today.
Morgan, sometimes you're Lux, sometimes you're unlux. And in this case,